Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kathy Finley, and I have been a client of Lake City for over 3 years. Mr. Premier, it is so great to have you here today. On behalf of the clients, sorry.
There you go.
On behalf of the clients, staff, and the board, I want to welcome you and Minister Peterson-Rafuse to Lake City. I also want to welcome everyone else who is here today. We are all very proud of this place, and I am really looking forward to showing it off following your announcement. Lake City and the people I work with have been an important part of my life. We all need people, good people, around us to help us succeed, and Lake City is that kind of place. We are honored to have both of you and all of you as our guests this afternoon. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Kathy, very much for that warm welcome. And we also appreciate you being our host this afternoon. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Premier, Wendy, including also Minister Dave Wilson and Sheila. And I believe that Minister Percy Paris from Waverly Fall River is also joining us this afternoon. And I also want to make sure that I mention Lynn Hartwell, who has been a solid rock in this project, bringing us forward from a staff perspective. I'd also like to thank Andre McConnell, Natalie Harvey, Donna Rubenstein, and other board members that are joining us here this afternoon. This afternoon is truly a historical day. This is one that I know you will mark into your calendars. It is a day of change, and it is a day of choices. And it's a day that will be moving forward to provide many more choices for those individuals with disabilities and those that are seeking continuing care. As the minister responsible for services for persons with disabilities, it has been my priority to continually work with the community, with family and friends, the advocacy groups, to make sure that we go forward to make life better for those that have a disability. And people will often hear me say that I do not see the disability, I see the ability, because those who we term who have a disability are actually the individuals who tell us that they have ability, and we need to see that. Those that we say have a disability are those individuals who ground us and who shows us that having confidence, enthusiasm, and motivation to go forward in life and fight the good fight is what it's really all about. And that's why we're here today. I also want to mention, I see Lorna McPherson standing out there, another staff person who has dedicated so much of her time and effort and energy to move forward and make a difference in the lives of those who have disabilities, but as I said, really have ability. And this has been also a priority of the Minister of Health and Wellness, and I want to thank him for supporting my efforts as going forward, along with, of course, my colleagues in the caucus and the cabinet, and no doubt, the Premier of Nova Scotia. You know, we can come up with the ideas and suggestions of how to go forward, but it would not go forward at all without the leadership of Premier Darrell Dexter. And as many of you have known, that we have made this a goal from day one when we had the privilege to become government. And So it was very important to us to make sure that we know that if we're going to make any changes, that the key to those changes is to include those who the change will affect and the family members, and to give them a voice and work with the family members and those with the abilities and the senior population to support them in the efforts of being a part of their own life planning. That's the key, and that's where the choices come in. Each and every one of you who are out there working each and every day and are in leadership roles, we have choices available to us. And each and every person that is placed on this earth has the exact same rights to have choices. There should be no difference, and that's what we're working towards. I know that there are challenges and worries when you make change, but change can be good. It's the fear of that change that we have to put aside and change that word fear to the word of opportunity. This is a grand opportunity. It's a forward thinking for a province to make such a big leap as we will be announcing today. We are here at a fabulous social enterprise, Lake City Woodworkers. And doesn't it present to you, and can't you not see the potential and what is created here by the hands of those who we say have a disability? Here is a place of hope. Here is a place of giving people meaning in their life, empowering people, empowering the community. It's about building confidence. It's about allowing people to go forward in their lives and be a part of that planning. This is a vibrant, collaborative place, and it offers its employees a place to gain skills, to socialize, and to establish themselves as part of the community. We are all a part of a community. We're a part of a smaller community within our own family. We're part of a larger community within the places we live. And we're part of a wider community of the province of Nova Scotia. And together, we are going to go forward with these changes. And the people here in this organization actually embodies what we want to do and what we're talking about today. And once again, there's one word that I want to give you today and that I want you to keep in mind as you leave today, and that is the word choices. And Nova Scotians deserve the opportunities to have the supports and also to be empowered to direct their own decisions, to direct their own care, to direct where they want to live and what they want to do. And I can tell you, as a government, we have listened. We took on the challenge of bringing people around the table, people like Michael Bach, people like Michael Kendrick, those who might have been on the outside criticizing government in the past. But we opened our doors and we said, we welcome you to come in. We welcome people from the residential facilities to be a part of this process. We wanted a restorative approach where everybody could sit around the table and have very open, heart-filled conversations. And I know Wendy has told me that she never thought in her life she would ever see that diversified group sitting around the table discussing the same issue together. And what the aha moment was that everybody was on the same page in what they wanted for an outcome. They weren't on opposite pages. Everybody wanted the same outcome, that people have the right to have choices and decide for themselves. So I would like to take this opportunity to introduce the person that takes the leadership that has brought us here today. And that's none other than the Premier of the province of Nova Scotia, Darrell Dexter.
Well, thank you very much, Denise, for that kind introduction. It's great to be here at Lake City today. I've been a customer here for a lot of years. I know that Gus is out there somewhere. He'd be able to tell you exactly how long. It's great to be here with all of you, Minister Wilson, Minister Paris, you mentioned Lynn Hartwell and the work done by her and by Lorna McPherson. Lorna and I have known each other for just a little while, right? So it's the work that they have done truly deserves recognition today. I think it's a big piece of their commitment to advancing the work for seniors, for services for people with disabilities, and I just want to take the time to recognize that here. And it's great to be welcomed into this workspace. And if you do get the chance, before you leave, make sure you go out to the showroom, have a good look at all that stuff, because it's great stuff. Shop early, shop often. We're here today to celebrate something very important, and that is the beginning of a new direction in how we support people with disabilities and how we support seniors, how we support Nova Scotians living with mental health issues. Everyone deserves to have a say in where and how they live. Living independently and being included in the community where you live and work is a basic right for everybody. But we know that for persons with disabilities and seniors, this is often a great challenge. And the programs and services the province has in place aren't as effective as they could be, or as effective as they should be. Some of you may recall last December, during the State of the Province address, when I spoke about our government's vision for Nova Scotia. That vision included an historic expansion of home care services to lay the foundation for the changes that will help maximize the independence and dignity of each senior or vulnerable person. Today, we all begin our journey to improve a better future for Nova Scotia families. It's a journey that we will all take together. Family members, residents, unions, service providers, and the province will work together to move continuing care and services for persons with disabilities beyond the old institutional framework and into a model of care focused on putting people first. By working together for over 3 years of study, consultation, and public engagement, we built a solid roadmap for the future. Family members voiced their concerns that when a loved one moved into a different home, that the funding they received didn't always go with them. That isn't good enough. Because of input like that, funding now will stay with the individual. Together, we are putting people first. I want to thank everyone who took the time to be engaged, to share their thoughts. A joint advisory committee, including advocates, service providers, frontline workers, and families, have helped refocus and improve the services and supports we provide to persons with disabilities. Some of those committee members and the organizations they represent are here today, and I want to thank you all for your commitment over the last number of years and for the work that is still to come. It was an enormous undertaking, but your work will help families right across the province. The community will be working with the province to put people first by first giving them greater control, more choices, and self-direction for people with disabilities and their families. We will modernize the delivery of services with a greater focus on social and economic inclusion. And we will allow more room for existing community structures and organizations to support inclusive, and independent living. These are big changes that will make a better future for you and your family. And I want to make it clear, this is happening because this is an NDP government. I fought to end the practice of stealing seniors' life savings when they moved into long-term care homes. My government eliminated security deposits in long-term care facilities, and we created fairer income splitting to allow families to live with dignity at home and in a care setting. There is much that still needs to be done. It's going to take time, and it is going to take plenty of hard work. But my government is committed to seeing it through, and we are committed to doing it together. Nova Scotians can make this province a leader, again, in providing care and support that allows people to live with independence and with dignity. Today marks the end of making people fit into the system and instead provides better supports that empower people to live as they choose. This approach puts people first and will help them lead the lives they deserve. Together, we can ensure a better and more inclusive future for everyone. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Premier. And I want to say to all that those are here, many of you do understand the significance of this change, and that it has taken several years for us to be able to build our relationships with the advocacy groups, try to rebuild trust that, of course, was limited because of the many other previous governments who made promises that never happened. And this time, I can tell those who are maybe the naysayers that this is not just a promise, this is action. And it is different this time because you have the leadership, you have the philosophy of the NDP that this is the right thing to do, and you have the advocacy groups who are a part of this. They have created this. And we are the ones that are responsible to take the leadership to make sure that it happens. So the work belongs to the community and to families and to disabled persons, to seniors, and to the next person that I am going to introduce that I know most everyone here knows. And this is a person who has pushed hard, and rightly so, to have these changes come forth. And it is my honor, I never actually believed in my life that I'd have the opportunity to introduce somebody who I admire extraordinarily, and that is Wendy Lill.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister. And thank you, Premier. It's great to be here today. This really is a good news day. I can say that from the bottom of my heart as an advocate, as a mother of a 28-year-old young man with a disability. I am feeling very good about today. I want to say that I want to talk a little bit about the process that has been alluded to by the Premier and the Minister, and that is the advisory committee that was struck to create this roadmap document. And many of the people are in this room today that sat around the table with me over the last 5 months. And I would just want to give you a little bit of an idea of what we did there. And it's fair to say we plowed through 2 decades of reports, government and community reports, and we researched best practices across Canada and across the globe, and we heard all of the input that was contributed to the putting people first consultations by individuals with disabilities, families, and service providers. And as I think it also has been referenced, that those were very difficult things to be part of and to read about, because there are a lot of concerns that have been identified very clearly by our family members and need to be changed, and this plan is all about change. Our work was guided by the UN Declaration of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which has been ratified by Canada and with the full support of the Government of Nova Scotia. And I would be remiss to not mention that we have one of the delegates, the Canadian delegates who crafted the UN Declaration in the room with us, and that is Steve Este, and I am very happy to acknowledge his presence here. We were also guided by our own experience and by the hundreds of individuals we know and advocate and care for living with disabilities in our province. And they were very much at the table with us. As I look around, I see people who have been working, have been struggling for years and for decades to improve the quality of lives of persons with disabilities. It has been very discouraging, and people cannot help but grow cynical. There have been many reports and many promises, but people are still living in crisis and on wait lists. But today is a good news day. In order to start meeting the needs of persons with disabilities, we need a vision of equality and what good lives in communities really look like. We need the goals and the principles and the steps to achieve that vision, and I believe that is the work that was done around our table with our committee. It is the vision that we've put forward and that has been accepted today by the government. And most significantly, again, what we need is what we have today, and that is the Premier of the province saying that he accepts the vision as the framework for all of the planning and strategies and commitments going forward from there. That makes this a very good news day. I want to thank Michael Bach and Don Gallant from IRIS, the Institute for Research and Inclusion in Society. They're not here today. I wish they were. For their work in guiding this process, they helped shape our views, mediated our differences, and they synthesized our goals. I want to thank Minister Denise Peterson-Rafuse for her ongoing commitment and for her courage and her relentless tenacity in pushing forward this process. I sincerely want to thank the Premier for showing leadership and making public his government's commitment to this vision. Obviously, this is just the first step, but I am looking forward to the next step. And right now, I urge everyone to take a moment to just feel fantastic about your efforts, because your long, hard work has paid off. And tomorrow we can get back to work making this vision a reality. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wendy. And we know at the heart of this roadmap, it's really about people, isn't it? And we cannot forget that. And I know that any staff members that are here today, I have really challenged them to think outside of the box. And I've often said that it's not for the want of staff in health or community services to do the best. It's the system itself and how it's developed over the years, and how policies that might have worked 20 years ago or 30 years ago do not fit into this world. And so next, you're going to hear a story about a family that was faced with that system and where it would have left them. But I've had the opportunity to work with staff and once again push them outside of that box. And to me, that was a pivotal part of showing staff and showing others we can do things differently. We can do them on an individual basis. The world does not fall apart because we stretched the policy. And so we know that not just stretching the policies are necessary, changing them are. And we will be working together to do that. And so it is my pleasure now to introduce Sheila Himman, who will give you some insight into what can be different in people's lives when we do stretch those policies.
Thank you very much, Premier and Ministers, for having me here today. This is not something I do often. It's the first time, so bear with me. But when I heard what the message was going to be, I thought it was important to tell Ellen's story and perhaps put a face on what the department was able to do that really marks a change in approach. And we have benefited from it, and I'm very, very pleased with the outcome. Ellen, my sister, is not able to be here today, but there's some pictures to the right here that represent where Ellen has been in her last 59 years of life. She grew up in the north end of Halifax in a very loving and supportive home for the first 38 years of her life, and went to school there, was part of the sheltered workshop community, and for probably 22 years spent it at Atlantic Bag on Prescott Street, which was a wonderful place to work. It was very supportive, and it was close to home, and it was a great spot. But then our parents were older and their circumstances changed. My dad passed away and my mother went to a nursing home, and so the family decision was made to bring Ellen to our home and to give her a new home and in the community of Waverley. And so for the past 20 plus years, Ellen has lived with us and has grown up with our children and has been a part of everything that family means, holidays, events. There's a picture of Mom and Dad and my brother and myself and Ellen in the North End. Anyway, she's had a very full and happy life, and she's brought a lot of joy to her family. What transpired over the last few years is that after working for 35 plus years in a sheltered workshop, she was getting tired, she was getting stressed, and we could see that she needed to retire. So I started working with community services, and they were very good and very responsive to Ellen's needs. And so I was able to, through the efforts of through the staff at Community Services, access a respite program which allowed her to retire. I found a facility in our community of Waverley where she's lived for the past 21 years, the Adelaide Respite Inn, where she went on a temporary basis to start with, because my husband and I both work. And surprisingly, to me anyway, she went from retirement and being stressed and her health was changing to being a happy and contented person, happy to get up every day and be taken to the Adelaide, where she had no stress in her life, where she could be part of the community that is at the Adelaides and do small jobs and be content to do her paperwork. There's a picture of her at the table in the window at the Adelaide, and she's happy. And so I knew after her being there for a while that this was the right place for her. This is a place where her family could continue to be in her life, and where I'm within 5 to 10 minutes from the Adelaide. It's the community that she's grown up in. And so I approached community services, and they've always been very responsive. But in this particular case, it fell outside of the programs or the places that were established. And so it took longer to go through some of the other options, and they were limited as to what Ellen was eligible for because she could no longer work. And there were options that we looked at that to me just were not a good fit for Ellen. And so in conversations with staff, I knew they were empathetic, but I knew that they were dealing with programs and services that were in place, and their hands were pretty much tied. So it was at that point that I went to my MLA, who was very much a family person, and he listened to me, and he listened to Ellen's story, and he was very supportive. And he helped give us a voice with the minister and her staff. And in the background, the consultation process was happening, which really supported where I was and what I wanted to do with Ellen. And so I'm very pleased to be here today to say that the outcome and the efforts of everyone that was involved have resulted in Ellen being placed there on a permanent basis. Her family remain a big part of her life, and the people that you're seeing here are people that have included Ellen in all social events, both my brother and his family in Lower Sackville, their cottage at Maliga Lake. She has had more joy and more laughter and brought it to us, and that's not going to change. She's in her community, and I thank the minister, I thank my MLA, and I thank the Premier. I'm very encouraged today to hear the words that there will be, that people with disabilities and their families will have an opportunity to be heard, and there will be options. And that was life-altering for us, and I'm sure it will be for others. So thank you for having me here today. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. And give Ellen our love, please. And I must say that the MLA is standing here today. Percy Paris. Thank you, Percy, for doing what you did. And over the last number of years, since I've had the honor to be the Minister of Community Services and have really pushed staff, there's several stories similar. But we got to make it a way of life each and every day, that they're not just special stories, that it's just common, it's the norm of how we provide services. And I just want to tell you one of my little stories that keeps me grounded each and every day and tells me why my responsibility to help others. And it's a story about a lady with Down syndrome who was in the LARSH program, a community options program. And she was dying, and she wanted to die at l'Arche with her family and her friends surrounding her. And of course, the system said no. Didn't feel that those at l'Arche would have the capacity to support her in her death. And even though there was palliative care available, still didn't think, it was never done before. And so when that came to my attention, once again, I said, we can stretch those limits. This is about a person and her family and her L'Arche family. And whether I got in trouble as a cabinet minister or not, I'm used to getting in trouble. So I thought, no, well, and I knew the Premier wouldn't get me in trouble for that one. So we put our foot down and we said, it's happening. She's not being moved out. And so that lady passed on with her family and friends. And her family sent me her picture, and I have it on my desk. And when I go into my office, I look at that. I will not start my day until I look at her picture, and then I know why I'm really there and why this government is really there. And so I'm sure there's going to be many more stories as we go forward with these changes. And as the Premier announced, the 3 action plans and the roadmap for change that now will guide us. And you know, it's going to take time, and it's also going to take lots of discussions. We need your help. We need your input. And I always relate it to, because my grandmother knitted an awful lot. I wasn't very good at it, but she knitted a lot. And I relate it to a ball of yarn, and you know, sometimes how it can get tangled up depending on what type of yarn it is, and there's knots in it. And that's what we're doing. We're taking that ball and we're unwinding it, and we'll find a knot, and some knots are harder to get out than others. Sometimes there's 3 or 4 knots. But the main thing we all have to remember, and I know that the advocates and the parents know this, we cannot give up, and we will not give up as the government of Nova Scotia and the philosophy of the NDP. So I want to say to each and every one of you that this is truly a historical day going forward. I thank you for coming and supporting us, and I look forward to us working with you in the future and everyone here being a part of that change, and that we continue on that path, because at the end of the day, the outcome is about people. So thank you very much for being here. I want to thank the Minister of Health too. Although he didn't have a role to talk today, I can tell you he's talked a lot around the table, and he's been a very solid supporter in the Department of Health to also move along our interdepartmental work, which is quite unique also in government, that a lot of these initiatives are being done now in an interdepartmental level, and that is key too for our success. And for the media that are here, the Premier, myself, and any other special guests that want to be involved, we will be available in a few minutes to answer your questions. So thank you very much, everyone. And remember, we're going forward, not backwards. Thank you.